Takes the snap. Blitz comes. He throws a deep ball toward the end zone. Tip. Caught! Touchdown!
Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. Team number 2 within our 2026 IFL team previews takes us way down the list of alphabetical names all the way to letter F, as we are going to get ready to preview the Fishers Freight. Now, last season was the first season that Fishers was a team. Not a bad season at all. We'll check it all out in a bit, but kind of the whole spiel here. If this is your first time watching a video, welcome. This is a channel dedicated to indoor football stuff in the Indoor Football League and everything that pertains to it. If you haven't had the chance to go watch the other video I posted about Arizona, go check that out. This is kind of just to tell people the teams, chances to root for them if you're already a fan of a certain team, get more in depth and stuff like that, and really kind of get ready for the 2026 Indoor Football League season. So without further ado, let's go talk about the Fishers Freight, who had a really weird 2025 inaugural season. Okay, so as usual, stat thing popping up here, your program to talk about in a sec, but the Fishers Freight, located in Fishers, Indiana, playing at the Fishers Event Center. I guess I didn't really do this with Arizona, but I mean, hell, they've been around for so long, you pretty much know where they're at, even though they've moved arenas a lot. But regardless, Fishers Freight, Fishers, Indiana, check them out. Head coach Dixie Wooten, only one season to speak of for them, but Wooten's been a coach all around the Indoor Football League, championship pedigree. He will be in his second season with the Freight, coming over from Bay Area a few seasons ago. That team is now dormant, so he made the right choice. 2025, Fishers finished 7-9, and it was a weird year. They started out 2-0, and people were kind of, myself included, going, what's going on here? And then they lose a whole bunch of games, and then they finish the season on a 5-game winning streak to finish 7-9, going 5-8 in the Eastern Conference with only one season, again, to speak of. 7-9 overall last year with a last 5 seasons combined 7-9 record. So that will change next year, this year, whatever you want to say, for their seasons. It's not a lot to speak of. Going over to the offensive team stats, just down below, 43 points per game for the Freight last year, 222 yards of offense per game roughly, 95 passing yards, and 126 rushing yards. This team started out very power run. With the quarterbacks that they had with Jaya Wright and Keegan Shoemaker, eventually Carlos Davis, and then Felix Harper, and we'll talk about that stuff in the rosters and stuff, but they were very power run. They wanted to run the ball, waste time, boa constrictor you. I don't know why my camera's doing this. It's trying to focus on like more than one thing at once, so I apologize. But power running game for Fishers leads them to obviously more rushing yards than passing yards, but eventually things start to get sorted out throughout the season and they become a little bit more balanced on offense. Still want to run, but passing game starts to open up a little bit, and that's how they started winning games, man. They started going really, really well down the stretch. Third down percentages, 46.8%, 66 of 141, 45.8% on fourth downs, and then 80.5% in red zone. So when they got down to the red zone, they were really good because they ran the ball really well. So when you can get into those 1 or 2 yards, goal line situations, they're pretty good with it. Defensively, they gave up 45.4 points per game, but you wouldn't really know it. Fishers had a really good defense last year, all things considered. They were able to shut down teams when push came to shove for the most part. Total offense allowed 211 yards, 210.9. Passing yards allowed 144, and rushing yards allowed 66.3. So like I said, the defense started to shore itself up a little bit as the season progressed and they started to go on their winning streak. The losses, and there were some close losses in there, some that they let slip away, but for the most part, the defense started to come into their own kind of later in the season. Takeaways, 16 takeaways. Opponents third and fourth downs, 47.9%, giving up 57 on 119, 14 of 30 for 46.7% on fourth down, and red zone. They couldn't stop a nosebleed, man. They gave up 66 of 76 in the red zone. So when teams got down onto the goal line situations or inside the 5, Fishers was letting them in too. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Over to the special teams. Not the best when it came to field goals. They went through a couple of kickers, as most teams do. 41%, it's not bad. I mean, considering in this league, your field goal attempt can be from 60 yards, 55 plus with narrow goalposts. So it can't fault him too much. It's better than being 20%, but still 7 of 17. They didn't actually kick a lot of field goals, all things considered. When 17 field goals, that's roughly 1 per game. It's not bad. Extra points, that's not that good. This isn't the NFL where you're going 30 plus yards for an extra point. It's at the 2.5 yard line. And I can't remember if they tried a couple of drop kick extra points. Some teams do, some teams don't. Fishers might have. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that could have contributed to it a little bit though. But making 3/4 of your extra points, those are points left on the table. So it's kind of like a free throw for me in basketball. You got to make them. Kickoff return yards per game. They had Devin Hafford. We talked about him in the previous one. 17.8 return yards. And it's not just Devin Hafford. We'll get further into it. But they were really good on kick returns. They did block 5 kicks on the opposite end of the special teams. So special teams was pretty good for Fishers. Talking at top individual returners, as I stated in the Arizona preview, these are just players that played for the team last year. Not players that came over from a different team or anything. Just team or players that came or that are re-signing with this team. If I can talk correctly, you'll see there's a lot. Felix Harper returns, so your quarterback's figured out. You got 2 running backs returning in Josiah King and Dominic Roberto, 3 wide receivers in Jared McGaw, TJ Stokes, and Isaiah Coulter. Offensive linemen include Daryl Simmons, LaQuinston Sharp, AJ Forbes, and Jeremy Cooper. Defensive linemen Jalen Swan, Christopher Oakley, and Darius Long. Linebacker, no one. Defensive backs Marcus Gray, Jaden Rowe, and Justin Terry, with your kicker Callum Sutherland coming back for another season. Representing the Freight, head coach Dixie Wooten, offensive lineman and new signee Navon Donaldson earning first team All-IFL honors, and defensive lineman Jalen Swan also earning first team All-IFL honors. That right there is your Fishers Freight preview. So with that, let's go take a look at the roster. Let's go take a look at our signings and departures. Let's go take a look at everything else we need to talk about when it comes to the Freight. All right, so let's go over Fishers' roster, and you will see on that right-hand column the amount of Fishers Freight re-signings. It is insane. It is just incredible the amount of talent they bring back, not to mention the amount of talent that they bring in from other teams throughout this league. It is insane how much talent that Fishers has acquired. Let's start off with the quarterback position. Felix Harper's coming over, well, not over, but he's coming back for another season with Fishers. He was with Massachusetts. He was with Dixie Wooten in Bay Area a few seasons ago, so he knows the system. He knows exactly what he's getting. And to have him back at the helm, a full season under center, like I said earlier, quarterback position was wishy-washy for Fishers in their inaugural year, going through 3 to 4 different quarterbacks. And you can see they went 7-9, so all things considered, they were really good with what they had. Yeah, they had a huge losing streak, but if you had a consistent quarterback and kind of a consistent offensive system, who knows? Harper's hoping to provide that consistency. It worked. It worked last year. We'll see if it continues to do that. Running backs, re-signing Josiah King and Dominic Roberto. Roberto coming over again from Massachusetts too. Him and Harper link up. I mean, they know exactly what they're doing. Josiah King, he had really good strides last season too. He came over from AF1, if I'm not mistaken, partway through the year, or maybe at the end of the AF1 season or NAL season. I can't honestly remember. I just remember him being very, very good for Fishers when he played. So having that tandem right there at running back, I mean, Felix Harper being a dual threat quarterback too, the running game is in good legs. That's a terrible pun. I was trying to not say in good hands, but yeah, ignore me. Speaking of good hands, we got wide receivers JT Stokes, Jared McGaw, and Isaiah Coulter all re-signing for another season. Oh, and by the way, CJ Wyndham coming over from the national champions in Vegas to add even more firepower to that. So that is a huge, huge get for Fishers. Add down below Jordan Davis, Jalen Green, Rajon Pringle, and Reggie Anderson. Jordan Davis might be your jack of all trades from Wofford. They had him listed at one point as quarterback and wide receiver, so maybe Fishers is kind of dipping into that TJ Davis, Green Bay Blizzard style. We'd only need one quarterback, but if he goes down, we've got a guy that can kind of take over. Again, don't root for injuries. Stupid to think that way, but if you got a guy that can play multiple positions, Larry Harrington with Tucson and stuff like that, it's good to have a person that can play multiple positions. So there you have it with that. Again, not a lot of size when you look at those wide receivers and you talk about height and stuff like that. CJ Wyndham being the tallest. So again, you look at that being, do they have speed? Do they have a different way of how they're going to do their offensive system? When it comes to some of these guys being, 5'7", 5'9", you can't really throw up a lot of jump balls with that unless they got a high vertical, man. So again, not dogging any of them. They've proven their worth. I know JT Stokes has proven his worth. CJ Wyndham definitely has too, and Isaiah Coulter. So yeah, it's a very, very good crop of wide receivers. Offensive line, it's not a matter of who starts, it's a matter of who cuts. Like, you are going to start 3 of these guys. You're going to cut a couple of them, and those guys are probably going to go on to different spots. Now, I want to caveat to this because what I have been told has been Jeremy Cooper and AJ Forbes are not part of the active roster. They are signed from what I have seen. So I do not know for certain if Jeremy Cooper and AJ Forbes are going to be part of the team. So bear in mind with that. But I have seen their names on a list, on a roster for Fishers. So grain of salt with that. I do want to mention that. Just saying, we do not know for that. I want to put that clear out there. I saw their names on a roster. I do not know if it's for certain. So do not quote me. It is not gospel. These guys can all get cut. You can sign different players next week. We do not know. But Daryl Simmons, LaQuinston Sharp, Jeremy Cooper, AJ Forbes, all re-signed for another go-around. Oh, and you bring in Devon Donaldson. You bring in Dante Lucas from Massachusetts, and you sign Jeremiah Rogers just, a week or 2 ago. It's insane. This offense is going to be insane, especially if they go back to the power run, because that offensive line can bully you around. Simple as that. Defensive line, Jalen Swan, Christopher Oakley, and Darius Long all are on for another year. Leon Trey Smalls comes over from the Tulsa Oilers. And then Nicholas Lennon, Stephen Thomas, James Wright IV, and Santonio Rice Jr. are all signed as rookies. So, again, who do you cut? Who do you keep? Who looks the best? Quite a bit of size on that defensive line. Looks like quite a bit of speed as well. Jalen Swan doing exactly what he does best. Christopher Oakley, the same thing as well. And Darius Long looked pretty good last season too. We'll see how it goes with some of those rookies. Trey Smalls, pretty good season with Tulsa as well. I mean, it's crazy to think the talent that Fishers has. Linebacker, only one. It's Cornell Jones, but he has been in some camps in the Indoor Football League. I think he was with Vegas and got traded over here. I want to say he was with Tucson in 2025 for training camp and then didn't make the final cut. So he's been around. He knows the game. He knows the systems and stuff. I think it is his go now to start. We'll see how it goes. Defensive secondary, Jaden Rowe, Marcus Gray, and Justin Terry are re-signed for another season. And coming over, Ja'Cory Benjamin and CJ Parrish for Fishers. They're signed from Iowa and Quad Cities for Fishers. I should rephrase that. Jacob Montez, Bo Bell, CJ Bradley, Devin Williams, Jarvis Martin, and Kendarius Smith round it all out. And that's quite a bit of the same size, same talent, so I'm curious to see how it goes, if there are any of these rookies that can beat out any of the secondary guys, or how Fishers is going to do it. I know I say that with almost every position, but again, like I've said multiple times, I don't scout these guys. I don't look at their film. If they are able to beat out some of these guys that played last season or earned indoor honors or player of the week or whatever, shows you that they have talent, they've got drive and hunger. So that's where we have it. But I do like what Fishers has. They lose a little bit from last season on the secondary. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I think they've signed enough in spades to really plug those gaps. Kicker is Callum Sutherland, so they are one of the few teams that actually has a kicker before the start of training camp, but Fishers does start the season before anyone else along with 3 other teams. So on the injury call-up and other list, Jahari Branch is exempt to the United Football League. From what I saw on the roster sheet, Tamar Hart and Dom Schaffner are refusing to report, and Cam Hunt is on league injured reserve. That is your snapshot of the Fishers Freight 40-man training camp, whatever you want to call it, roster. As I said with Arizona, and I will say with the other 12 teams after this isn't final. There could be players that get signed right before training camp as other teams make cuts, and if Fishers wants those players or what have you. So again, all of this stuff is fluid. Some of these guys will not make the cut. You dwindle it down to 25 players and you set your roster. So again, a lot of these guys can be on the chopping block. You go from 40 down to 25, that's 15 players that don't get to see the field, and they might not get picked up by another team. So that's where we have it for that. Let's go talk some additions and some subtractions, talk about a schedule, get out of here. Okay, so let's talk some key signings, some key departures, and there's not really a lot to talk of when it comes to Fishers because it seems like they've damn near re-signed everybody, but we got to talk about some. Let's start with the signings like we always do at the very beginning. Offensive lineman Navon Donaldson, first team All-IFL last year, part of the 2023 All-Rookie team just a few seasons ago, coming over from the Massachusetts Pirates, as if you needed any help bolstering that offensive line. Now, like I said, the caveat to this is if AJ Forbes and Jeremy Cooper are not part of the team, Donaldson's going to slide right in there if he isn't already part of that offensive line with what Fishers already has. I mean, like I said, Fishers looks to really want to turn a corner from a 7-9 season to literally vie for a championship this year. And we've seen it in the past. Teams go, and Fishers was not even the worst, to go from, and I apologize for how my camera's doing this. It wants to focus on something else. But we've seen teams go from worst to first, and Fishers wasn't even the worst. So they're going from mediocre to first. That's what they're trying to do here. And Donaldson's going to help anchor that offensive line, get that rushing game and everything going with it. I'm going to see if I can scoot back here and see if that helps out a little bit. But that's pretty much where we have it when it comes to it. Like, what Fishers has offensively with Felix Harper and the running game with King and Dominic Roberto, what they have coming back for the wide receivers, it looks good. I mean, they shore up that offensive line that was really good last year. And yeah, I mean, it's insane, man. Defensively, they do bring back Jalen Swan. Again, 2025 All-IFL first team. 2023 second team All Indoor Football League. I believe that was when he was with Quad City. 47.5 total tackles last year, 17.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 4 blocked kicks, and 1 safety. So again, you don't really have a lot of stats on offensive line, but you get quite a bit on the defensive line, and Jalen Swan was all over the place defensively. 9.5 sacks is insane. 3 forced fumbles and 4 blocked kicks. He blocked 4 kicks I wouldn't say by himself, but he got credited with it at least. Has a safety under his belt too. I think that's from one of the blocked kicks, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy what the defensive line has for Fishers too. Again, they just look to get right after it. It is just, what can you say? What can you say? Fishers looks so damn good. Key departures, I have to put someone here offensively. I was kind of torn between Shane Simpson and Jordan Kress because, like I said, Fishers kind of retains everyone, and I just put Simpson here. It is a key departure for what he did, and I think he only played 9 games, if I'm not mistaken, but what he did in those 9 games, pretty damn good. But all things considered, you put him here or Jordan Kress, and you look at the stats with what they already have, and the other players kind of beat them out. So I'm not going to put one of the quarterbacks on there like Jaya Ryder, Keegan Shoemaker, not trying to have them catch strays. But yeah, Shane Simpson, 66 rushing attempts, 234 rushing yards, and 9 rushing touchdowns, 16 receptions, 129 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 3 kick returns, and 94 return yards. So I know Simpson's been around from Bay Area to Quad City to Fishers and stuff like that. So Kress has been around too, from San Diego to Fishers and everything. But I mean, it sucks to lose Simpson, but you're not really losing a lot when you bring back Roberto and Josiah King. So Second key departure. This one does hurt a little bit for Fishers. Aaron Jackson's heading over to the Tucson Sugar Skulls. He was 2024 second team All Indoor Football League with Duke City. So he leaves, but what you have signed back with CJ Parrish and Ja'Cory Benjamin for Iowa, or from Iowa, you can kind of retain it. But 45.5 total tackles, 1.5 for a loss, 4 picks, 10 pass breakups, 1 pick six. So, overall, that's a big gap to fill, but I think Fishers can fill it with what they've signed back. It's going to hurt to lose him, but I don't think he was necessarily that much of an anchor on the defense as some people give him credit or don't give him credit for. Very serviceable. He shined when it mattered, and for all intents and purposes, a very, very good defensive back, but I don't think people are going to be clamoring for Aaron Jackson and Fishers. Not like he did anything wrong, but I think they're going to be able to make up for it with what they've signed and re-signed. So that's where we have it for the Freight when it comes to their signings and departures. Let's go take a look at their schedule, and we'll wrap everything up and get out of here. Okay, so I keep forgetting that we also have 3 questions to talk about too, because you're going to wrap it up after the schedule. No. We got 3 questions to talk about. That's where you comment and do all that stuff too and get interactive. But no, we got 3 questions, but I got to talk about the schedule first. So, schedule popping up here, and Fishers actually starts the season. Simple as that. Home opener for the Fishers Freight starts on March 14th. That is a Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. They take on the Quad City Steamwheelers, and they're going to lose that game because Quad City is going to win every single game, and that's just my unbiased opinion. So that's where you have it. Sorry, guys, I don't make the rules. No, I'm kidding. This will be a fun game. It'll be a fun game to start the season off with. Home opener for Fishers. You kick off the season with this one, and then you have the rematch between Vegas and Green Bay the day after, but that's their previews. After that, speaking of Green Bay, a week later, 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, March 21st. The Blizzard are at home. Fishers makes their first road trip a week after their home opener. Then you get a couple weeks off, and then a Sunday, I was about to say matinee, but that is absolutely not a matinee because that's in the afternoon. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff at home against the Arizona Rattlers. And then back-to-back home games as later in that same week on the 11th, only 6 days between them. 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, home against the Iowa Barnstormers. One of 3 matches between the Barnstormers and the Fishers Freight this year, and they played each other 3 times last year. It was pretty fun, all things considered, for both teams, the 3 games that they played last season. Back-to-back road games after back-to-back home games at Tulsa, at Iowa, as you play Iowa 2 times in 3 weeks. Both games at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, April 18th and April 25th. And then as we venture into May, you take on Green Bay, as that is the second of their third matchup with the Blizzard, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You see a lot of their games are on Saturdays, with just the Arizona games and their final home game being on Sunday. We'll touch on those in a sec. Away game on the 9th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, as we travel to Orlando. The first trip to Orlando for Fishers, with Massachusetts relocating down to the Sunshine State. The 16th of May, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, home game against Jacksonville. And I think this happened last year, but it was in back-to-back weeks instead of kind of having a week between. Jacksonville plays Fishers back-to-back. Now, I don't think Jacksonville does, because I think they might have a game in between, but Fishers does. So Fishers and Jacksonville played home and home in back-to-back weeks last season, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of the same thing here with Fishers. So on the 30th, they will travel out to Jacksonville after playing them a couple weeks ago, because they have a bye week in between. 7 p.m. Eastern Time start for them. Heading home, they play Tulsa as they get their back-to-back, or home and home with that, 7 p.m. So I think most of their games are at 7 o'clock. It seems like, just that's how it goes. Another, not bye week, but a longer week as extra day. Take the road trip out to Arizona, and then a short week. And you notice this is kind of cool too. You play Arizona, you have a short week, and then you're home against Iowa, 7 p.m. Kickoff against the Barnstormers to end your home, away, home 3-game series. And then you end another 3-game series as you're on the road against Green Bay the week after that. And then on the road at Quad City on the 11th of July, with 2 weeks in between, You end the season on the 26th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time against the Orlando Pirates at home, where hopefully you've already got a playoff seed locked up. Hopefully everything is smooth sailing, no pun intended for the Pirates, and you venture into the playoffs for the first time in your franchise history as you complete a very, very good 2026 season. But that's where we have it with the Fishers Freight and their schedule. There's some wins on there. Definitely some wins. 6 games, between two teams. If you can sweep all of that, you've already got 6 wins. And then you just have to kind of do series splits, man. And that'll get you easily into the playoffs. But we'll see how it goes. I know we're looking at all of this on paper. We'll translate. We'll figure it out. But with that, we got to talk 3 questions. Get out of here. Okay, so 3 questions. Just like with Arizona and like we will with all the other teams, these are just, I guess, rhetorical questions. I think I said that in the last one, but questions to get you guys kind of engaged, get open-ended kind of stuff, and how you guys, have your opinions and things like that too. Your chance to talk in the comments and stuff like that. But ultimately, for me, it's just questions that I kind of think of off the top of my head for each team. I just try to get it to 3 questions. I could question everything all day because I'd like to poke holes and stuff and try to foolproof plans and things like that. So I could be questioning everything, but we'll limit it to 3. First question I have for the Fishers Freight for 2026. Is it playoffs or bust? Or better yet, is it championship or bust? And I know that that sentence or that phrase is thrown out so much that you wonder, like, what meaning does it truly have? So, for me, I think Fishers needs to get to the playoffs first before you even think about winning a championship or looking ahead to the Eastern Conference Championship or whatever the case could be. Is it playoffs or bust? You guys finished 7-9 last year, only a couple of games out of that final playoff spot, and if you didn't have a long ass losing streak, there is an opportunity that you could have seen Fishers in their first year make the playoffs. What they bring back with the talent, I think that Fishers not only could vie for a playoff spot, they could vie for the number 1 seed. That's how good I think Fishers is right now, to the point where I think Fishers could be the best team in the East. I think the East is very wide open, and I think that benefits Fishers very, very well. I think their schedule benefits them very well too. Only playing Arizona from the West, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and they get Iowa 3 times. Now, we'll talk about their previews. We talked about Arizona's preview, but there's an opportunity that Fishers in their second game against Arizona, there's a chance they could beat them. They could beat them at home. We don't know. There's no preseason. There's no figuring stuff out. You got to figure it out on the fly. Fishers could pull an upset. I don't know. And again, it's not to dog on Iowa because Iowa is still kind of a work in progress, but playing them 3 times, you beat them. You beat them last year. You can do it again. You can sweep them. Quad City, they look good. You can beat them. Tulsa, they look good. You could beat them. Green Bay, are they taking a step back? You could beat them. I mean, Fishers looks really, really good. You could be in Orlando. We don't know what Orlando's going to look like. They got a new coach. They're in a brand new location. We don't know. So like I said, I think the East is very, very, very wide open. And if Fishers looks to be taking that, I think they will take it. Number 2, is Felix Harper the guy? Now, before people jump down my throat or, the ones and ones that will do it, I want to say it like this. Felix Harper started last year for Mass. He started last year for Fishers. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe he has started a full season. He was the backup to DeQuan Neal in Bay Area. He did start a couple of games out there in Bay Area as well. So when I say is he the guy, is he going to be the guy consistently enough to break what happened last year with the amount of quarterbacks that Fishers used before they got to Felix Harper? Is Felix Harper going to be the guy? Because you don't want what you had last year trying to go between Jair Wright and Keegan Shoemaker and then having to bring in Carlos Davis and then having to go to Felix Harper and all of this stuff. Is Felix Harper the guy that you can rally around, that you can go with all of that? Is he the guy that you're going to trust for 16 games? It's not to discredit his talent. It's not to say he's bad or anything like that. Is he the guy? That's what I mean by that. So when I say is he the guy, it's not to say he sucks. It means, can he be that consistency for 16 games? I think he can. I truly think he can. He's proven it. He's started games before. He I mean, look what he did with Fishers last year. Can he continue that success? I think he can. With the talent he has around him, it'll be good. Last question. What happens if you have another slow start? So like I said, Fishers came out hot through the gate, 2-0. Do you consider that a hot start? Potentially. And then they went on a long losing streak. They finished 7-9. So you won 2 games, you won 5 games, you lost 9 in a row. I mean, what happens if what happens if that happens again? You lose your home opener against Quad City. Arizona is always stacked with talent, so there you start 0-2. Do you win 9 games in a row and completely reverse the curse? I don't know. But what happens if it doesn't pan out? Like I said, I personally think the Fishers is in a playoff spot. I think they are in a championship caliber spot. I know a lot of people that think the same way within the indoor circles. We'll see. But like I said, what happens if you get off to a slow start? What happens if things don't gel? Is it something where the wheels fall off, or can you gather yourself back up? I think a lot of it will hinge on the trenches. Can that offensive line look just as nasty? Can that defensive line put pressure and look just as nasty? It's going to go to the trenches. Like I said, it kind of goes back to point number 2. Is Felix Harper the guy? Who's going to be your wide receiver that steps up? CJ Wyndham looks good. JT Stokes looks good. Again, there's a connection with JT Stokes and Felix Harper from Bay Area. There's a connection from Massachusetts with Dominic Roberto and Felix Harper. So, excuse me. There is chemistry all around offensively. Defensively, we'll see how that goes too. Linebacker position looks to be a little bit of a work in progress, but the secondary and the defensive line all look really good. All look kind of solidified, and we know Dixie Wooten is more than a capable coach of doing what he does offensively and defensively when he has the reins. So those are the 3 questions that I have. Is it playoffs or bust? Is Felix Harper the guy? And what happens if you have a slow start for 2026? So you guys want to post your answers or comment or things like that, excuse me, go for it. More than inclined to reply to you in the comments and stuff like that. But with that, we need to wrap stuff up. Get out of here. And there we have it for the Fishers Freight, a team looking to take the league by storm. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, we do this stuff on paper. We do this stuff trying to figure this thing out, but be on the lookout for Fishers with the talent that they bring in, the talent that they've brought back, the coaching staff that they have. It's all world, man. And the ownership that they have with the ECHL, with the Indy Fuel and everything, like, it is starting to become one of the beacons, a place where you want to go play, suburb of Indianapolis. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, because last year they had quite a bit of hope. They're going to be drowning in hope this season. I think they can make the playoffs. I do. I truly do. I think with what Fishers has, they are more than capable of rallying behind their guys. So that's where we have it. I'm going to take off here. Again, as I said in the Arizona one, and I'm sure I'll say it in every outro with this, I love and appreciate you guys. If you like what you have, or if you like what you've seen, excuse me, if you like what you have too, you can always like what you have. But if you like what you see, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let people know what's going on. And we just keep going, man. We just keep going with it. Green Bay is up next for our preview series as we continue down the alphabet and we learn our ABCs that way. But overall, Arizona and Fishers kicking us off. What a better way to do it. 2 teams that I think are going to be in the playoffs. And now we're going to get into a team after this where, do they take a step back? Foreshadowing, we don't know, but that's theirs. We talk Fishers here, and that's how we end it, because ultimately Fishers is going to be a very, very likely pick. I think is the best way to describe it. Likely pick for the playoffs, and maybe even dark horse candidate for the championship and stuff like that. So that's where we have it. I love and appreciate you guys so much for taking the time to watch this. It means the world to me. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to make these videos, a lot of editing and a lot of graphics and stuff. All the graphics you see, I've made personally. I do all this stuff by myself. So simple like, comment, share, subscribe means the world. If not, it doesn't bother me. I've seen my share of hate comments and stuff like that too. So whatever works. It doesn't matter to me. But anyway, I love you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow night in the Green Bay preview as we just keep chugging along and we get closer and closer to the start of the Indoor Football League season. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.